Well, good morning. This is Monday, October 7th, 2019, and this is Healing the Heart of America. And we'll be continuing our theme from last Friday of numbness, of not being able to feel. And actually, we'll continue it for 2 more days, I think. 2 more topics that cause us to be numb, or are the result of our being numb. And of course, the idea is that as we move into our hearts, we become happy, willing, and delighted to feel everything, good and bad. And that what we call bad feelings become perhaps not pleasant, but like exciting, like, oh my goodness, some sadness is coming up. Oh, look at this outrage coming up. Look at this judgment coming up. And we welcome it up as part of ourselves. And as we love it, it shifts, purifying itself, and it begins to reflect the divine qualities within our heart. And the idea is we do this both for ourselves and we do this for the nation. That the heart of our nation is healed. And we as a community, a very large community, welcome up and embrace every part of our country with love, with gratitude, with kindness, with wisdom. So this morning we'll be dealing with the topic of alcoholism. Someone kindly suggested this topic. I never would have thought of it because it's not really divisive per se. It was when we passed laws against it and created the prohibition, then it became a big division in the country. We know that didn't work. So, but we always want to go into our hearts before we welcome up these topics. Even if they're not divisive, we can heal them because we all have resistance. We don't like alcoholics. We don't. We wish they would change. It's hardly a loving posture. So, let's just get started with our dive into our hearts. So I invite everyone to sit up with your feet flat on the floor. And the first thing we do is we just say good morning, hello to our hearts. So if you first I encourage you to notice what your experience is this morning. How settled are you? How quiet? How loving? How open? How does your chair feel? How does the room that you're in feel? How brightly do you see things? How clearly do you hear them? And we just take this as a gauge. Here we are, and then in a few minutes we'll be checking to see what going into our heart does for us by comparison to this base state that we're in right now. And so let's say good morning to our hearts by putting both of our hands over our hearts and just being with our hearts. And maybe you can begin to feel your heartbeat through your fingertips or through the palms of your hands. And just let your hands down. You can keep them there if you want. And just take another check. We were there maybe a minute and a half. I don't know how long. Just take another check to see what simply connecting with our heart does for us. What changes do you notice? The heart is the center of our energetic body. So when we just spend time with our hearts, it helps to awaken our energy body. We become more sensitive. We notice more energetically. We feel more. But it's different for everyone, so whatever you experience is exactly right. And now we move into our practice of heart rhythm meditation, where we'll end up connecting the rhythm of our heartbeat with the rhythm of our breathing. It's a practice that was developed by the very God-realized desert fathers and desert mothers in the 4th and 5th centuries. Peron and Susanna Barer researched all this and brought it back out in a book called Living from the Heart. Very good book. In a school now where they teach it in an organization called I Am Heart. So we begin by, again, being straight in our posture, always comfortable. When we strain, we shut off the flow of energy. We lock it in. And let's begin by just noticing our breath. How free, how easy is it? How full is the inhale or the exhale? Is one nostril more open than the other? Just noticing at this point. It's a way of loving our breathing, our respiratory system. Just to notice, we honor it when we do this. We acknowledge it. This great service that our breath has done from us really from the moment we were born. And it's so normal we don't even think to appreciate it. But it's really extraordinary. And now let's shift the breathing slightly by going into a very full exhale. The easy way to do that is to fully pull in your abdominal muscles all the way back toward the spine. As we let it out, we notice how fully our in-breath is, how full that is. So let's just spend a minute or two. Full inhale, full exhale. It's always useful to check your experiences. When we can see the difference, we have more motivation to continue the practices. So just check. What does a full inhale and a full exhale do for you? Do for your energetic body? Do for your sense of energy, your sense of aliveness, awakeness, your freshness? And now let's move on to connecting the rhythm of our breathing to the rhythm of our heartbeat. Typically that means we inhale for 6 or 8 breaths, and then we exhale for 6 or 8 breaths. Six or eight heartbeats, sorry. Inhale for 6 or 8 heartbeats. Exhale for 6 or 8 heartbeats. Could be 4, could be 10, could be 12. Whatever your capacity is, as long as we don't struggle. After people have done this for a while, it tends to move up. It tends to have 10, sometimes 12. But no rush with that. Let that happen spontaneously of its own accord. Where you just sort of get the thought, what if I could try 10 today? It's like that. For right now, we'll just talk about 8. And if you've given a name to your heartbeat, the name of some great being, be sure to connect that to your heartbeat. Or if there's some affirmation or statement of truth that you want to become more alive within you, inhale, putting that on the rhythm of your heartbeat, putting it on your breath. We energize these beings, these statements of truth, through the breath, through the heartbeat. And every morning we explore a new adaptation, a new possibility of using the heart and breath. We started by breathing directly into our heart, exhaling in and out of our heart. We also, last Friday, we did the diamond breath, or the square breath. Inhaling for 6 or 8 beats, holding for 12 or 16, exhaling for 6 or 8 beats, whatever is comfortable for you. We did the swinging breath, where we brought the energy of the inhale in from the back into the back of the heart, and out the front, and then reverse that, while holding and asking for divine guidance. We ask the question, we let it go, and we take our energy from the quietest part of our being out to the far reaches of creation and back. That we might pull in both the wisdom of creation and the wisdom of the silent, infinite beings who have our backs. This week I'm going to invite everyone to explore the elemental breathing patterns. There are 5 fundamental energies in creation. The ancients, and reasonably so, for no better language for them, gave them the names of the elements: earth, water, fire, air. You could use the word ether or space or akasha. As we explore these, we'll begin to understand how intimately connected we are to them. From the Vedic tradition, these 5 elements are 5 of the 8 forces of nature, the 8 prakritis. Mind, intellect, and ego were the other 3. My own experience, I had a very clear vision when I first started this heart rhythm meditation. It just came to me. I saw each chamber of the heart connected to one of the 4 elements: earth, air, fire, and water. Then I asked, what about akasha? What about the ether element, the space element? And suddenly, clear as a Cinemax movie theater, the periocardial sac surrounding the heart lit up, and I realized the space element holds all the other 4 elements. Our bodies are the microcosm of this creation, and the heart is integral, the central point of that. So this morning we're going to play with the earth breath. We're going to connect with the earth. And the pattern with this is just the same pattern we've been doing. It's in and out through the nose, through the nostrils. But what I invite you to play with is allowing your energy to go deep, deep, deep into the center of the earth. And on the inhale, pull that energy up to the heart. And on the exhale, let the energy float down through the body, through the torso, the legs, or just straight up the spine, back down into the center of the earth. Sometimes it's actually helpful to go up to the feet. And inhale, pull that energy back up through the feet, through the legs, up to the heart. Fill the body with this divine element of earth energy. And back, exhale, back down. Stay connected in your heart to your heartbeat. Think of the earth element and the qualities of the earth. Very stable. It keeps us grounded. When we connect to this great body of energy we call the earth, the earth element is the power in creation that gives solid form. Even something like ice, we would call the earth element, even though it's fundamentally water, but the form of it. The minute, of course, it melts, it becomes water. It becomes steam, it becomes air. Like that. Pull up this earth energy. And is it okay with us, as we welcome up this earth energy, that we welcome up the divine quality of stability, of strength, of persistence, of patience? Over in India, they have a saying, as patient as the earth. When there's a time when we need patience in our life, this is the breath, this is the meditation that brings in patience and persistence. Now, one adaptation here, and that is, could we welcome up the energy from the earth up through our bodies, and then exhale out to the sides? There's a spreading quality to the earth energy. It spreads to create a stable platform. Pull it up, spread it out. Some people report experiencing sort of a yellowish-brown color to this. Doesn't matter if that comes to you or not. It's just there if you experience it. But it's almost as though we're spreading our energetic body out, becoming stable. As if the earth is rising up to us and we're becoming part of the earth, part of this vast, solid body of energy. And it just takes playing with it. We start first with the imagination. And then we start to notice, oh yes, that energy is actually there. What the earth does for us is it purifies. The way the earth purifies is that it composts. No matter what you dump on the earth takes it in and transforms it into soil, into very valuable energy. And whatever's bothering us right now, could we welcome that into our system, up into our hearts from the earth, and spread it out, and allow the earth, these divine qualities of the earth, to take it and shift it. The things that might knock us off balance suddenly become manageable when we are rooted and grounded in the earth. One of the reasons I keep focusing on this topic of numbness is this is one of those things, feeling these energies, that if we shut down our feelings all the time, it makes it harder to feel these energies. As we open up our hearts, open up to the feelings, we begin to feel all the subtle energies of creation. And we begin to know at a deep energetic level how deeply connected we are energetically to this entire creation. Just for a moment, and I understand this may just be your imagination, that's perfect. Allow this earth energy to spread out to the far ends of creation. It's the same energetic signature throughout creation, this earth energy. Wherever there is solid form, big form like mountains or planets, suns, little forms like molecules. Wherever there is form, there is earth energy throughout creation. And we are part of that. It is woven into our very being, into our very essence. Is it okay with us if on the level of earth energy we are one with creation? We move into unity with creation on the level of the earth energy. I mentioned the 8 Prakritis before because we're so used to the spiritual paths that access unity through the process of the mind. But these 5 elements are exactly on a par with the mind, ego, and intellect. Is it okay with us if we expand our sense of unity by incorporating it and accessing it through subtler and subtler and subtler levels of earth energy until we become one at the deepest level of the universal heart, walking through the open door of this magnificent earth energy? So let's move on. Thank you for joining me in that. Let's move on to this topic of numbness and alcoholism. Of course, alcoholism is the classic numbing agent. We drink away our problems so we don't feel them. So just check in with yourself, because we're not here on a tirade against drinking by any means. We don't want to resist anything in the sense of judging it. Certainly our heart, and particularly the depth of the heart called the solar plexus, has the nature of setting boundaries, saying no, not this. Second chakra, where we say yes to everything. We want to integrate all these energies so we're free to use them as appropriate. So maybe go back to some memory you have of drinking or being with someone who was drinking. How subtle of an experience is it? Not so subtle, is it? Numbing, dumbing, numbing and dumbing. And yet, you look at alcohol sales in this country and they just keep skyrocketing. It's okay. Even with this, we can shift this country into a culture of the heart. And the thing is, we don't want to oppose. We don't want to resist, because that persists. That strengthens it. That's putting our attention on it. What do we want to be doing is putting our attention on our hearts. And we want to put our attention on our own resistance to alcohol and to those who drink alcohol. And I'm going to use alcoholics because it's so obvious what happens when alcohol is out of control. So just check in with yourself. Perhaps you've had problems with alcohol, or a member of your family has, or friends. Honestly, most families that I know, someone in the extended family is an alcoholic. That's a terrible thing to say, isn't it? But I've just seen it again and again. Some are high-functioning alcoholics. But either way, for example, I have a friend whose wife is an alcoholic, and she's a lovely woman, bright and smart. And I find myself wanting to fix her. So just check to see if you have any sense of wanting to change the people in your life who are abusing alcohol. Or even if they occasionally get drunk and you have to deal with them. See if there's a part of you that wants to fix that, that doesn't like that wants to change that. It may be a very subtle energy within you, but could you welcome up that wanting to change energy, that wishing that person did not drink, or could at least drink responsibly? And just on the level of discrimination, how effective has it been for you to wish that someone did not drink, to want to change them? My guess is, I know this from my own experience, that just doesn't work. So would it be okay with us if instead of disapproving of alcoholics, if we let go of disapproving of them and see if that might help? And even if you don't know an alcoholic or someone who drinks alcohol, see if you disapprove of known alcoholics in the culture. You know, the celebrities who overdrink or whatever it is. Could you let go of disapproving of them? Just feel that energy and just let it go. Or just be with that energy and love it. And love it some more. And watch how it dissolves and fade away. And let it fade away some more. So let's try this statement on. I look forward to being with an alcoholic. And just see if that stirs up any energy within you. I look forward to being with an alcoholic. I look forward to alcoholics driving while I'm driving. I look forward to alcoholics failing to show up for work. And if we have any resistance to that, could we let that go? Would it be okay with us if we see these alcoholics, and I love this phrase, a sovereign spiritual being, if we see them as spiritual beings going through whatever they need to go through for their own evolution? And can we just be grateful that they are there to show us our stuff, our own non-loving feelings, that they have picked a very challenging path to walk through this life with. Not a rewarding path. Could we greet them with compassion? That doesn't mean enabling them. When I was reading last night, I read some of the wisdom on how to deal with alcoholics when you're involved with them, and the big thing is to not enable them. They gave the example, if someone comes home and passes out on your lawn, you don't pull them inside, put them in bed, dress them, and let them wake up in bed in the morning. That's enabling them. It sounds hard, but it's really pretty wise. They say, no, you let them sleep it off in the morning and deal with the neighbor's stairs. Can't pay the light bill? No, you don't take the grocery money to pay the light bill. You take your family and you go stay with a friend's house and let the alcoholic deal with the problem rather than enabling them. Actually, a lot of great wisdom. It sounds harsh, but really, we're just letting people experience their own lives as sovereign spiritual beings. And we live our own lives with our own standards. And let's take this to the national scale. I think I read alcoholism costs the nation $233 billion a year. Half of it paid by the federal government. Huge disruptions of our productivity. Major medical expenses for the nation. Difficulty with drivers. Accidents. injuring many people who are quite innocent. So at a very deep fundamental level, there is an energy within our nation. It comes up within each one of us also. One of these dark forces that's rising up. A spirit, so to speak. That's why they're called spirits. This energy rising up, influencing people all across this country. The divine weapons that we use are the divine qualities: love, compassion, peace. Would it be okay with us if we stopped resisting this force, this spirit, because we give it power when we resist it, and we move into the deep, deep, deep part of our heart, the universal part of our heart, and allow our peace to expand. Peace is another quality of the earth. But from the very, very deep universal levels of our heart, could we allow peace to expand throughout our nation as the antidote to numbness? When we feel peace, there's no need to numb ourselves. Again, could we go deep within ourselves to this place of vast peace? Peace. Peace. And allow this force of peace to do its function at the deepest level of every individual in this country and the world, we could ask. Would it be okay with us? All we're doing is we're setting an intention for the nation and for ourselves. Would it be okay with us if this great value of peace becomes so dominant within us that the urge to experience numbness just fades away and fades away, all of its own accord? We set this intention with gratitude and certainty. Gratitude and certainty. Where we know that we know that we know this great work of peace will expand of its own accord. So if you've lost connection with your heart, it'd be nice to reconnect with it for a moment. Put our attention on our feet and just allow ourselves to sit fully embodied, fully energized, and fully silent. Allow that to integrate into our physiology. Take a minute or two and then let's slowly open our eyes. That ends our formal part of this program. If anyone is stirred up or has a question or a comment, if you're online, please unmute yourself. That's *6. That's someone here in the audience. It's so interesting. I never know where these meditations go. I had not expected to go there like that. But it made perfect sense.
Stephen?
Hello.
Stephen?
Here, let me turn my speakers up louder so everybody can hear. Who's there?
It's Randolph.
Hey. Randolph, how are you doing?
Good morning, good morning.
Good morning.
This has been a very powerful and meaningful experience for me starting this heart work with you last week. And I find it very interesting, the term numbness. You know, we're applying it to our culture. But I realize for myself that, this isn't self-criticism, that I've kind of had a numbness in the heart ever since I was little. I kind of shut myself off when I was really small. So I'm finding this heart work extremely moving and very touching to my heart. And I also find it somewhat difficult, and I don't mean it's a strain, but it's kind of challenging for me to expand the heart in any way and do the energetic aspects of it.
Right.
But on the plus side, I'm well aware, and this is kind of why I'm speaking. I'm really now aware of my heart all the time. It's just like all the time, no matter what I do. And it's really an extraordinary experience because sometimes I'm not sure something is going on in my mind, and I'm not sure how to release it. And so I just automatically go to the heart, take my attention away from the content of what's going on in the mind, and go to my heart. and that's been extremely valuable. So I just wanted to give my tremendous thanks and gratitude for this opportunity to do this hard work with you and do it for myself.
Thank you so much, Randolph. That's very meaningful, and I really appreciate it. And is it okay with you if we do a little work together and maybe give you a little boost in terms of connecting to your heart?
Absolutely.
All right, so good. So everyone work along with him. All right. So Randolph, when you said you shut down your heart at a very young age, can you go back to about how old were you?
Really, really, really hard to say. It could have been 1, 2 years old.
I'm sorry, you say 1 or 2 years old? Is that what you said?
Yeah, it could have been that far back.
Wow, that's deep. That's a long way back, and a good memory.
Yes.
So good. So however it is for everyone, go back to that moment, or if you can, or just that general feeling for that period where you first realized, when you look back, you realized you shut down your heart. Where you said, I better not feel this. You go back to somewhere, and you don't have to go back to when you're a child. Come back to some point where you go, I better not feel this. Not safe to feel this. So Randolph, can you get that sense?
No problem whatsoever. Yes.
Good. So is it okay with you if you just sort of look at that scenario, even if you imagine what it was? It's okay. Your mind will do gifts for you. And just look at that time period. And would it be okay with you if you looked at that experience, that decision you made, with compassion?
Yes.
Yeah. Right now there's a sense of, I wish I wouldn't have done that, right?
No.
No, good. So
No,
you're totally okay with that decision?
No, I'm just happy with awakening to this understanding.
Fantastic. Good. And everybody go there. Maybe you're completely already get that it was the right thing to do at the time. All right? Most of us tend to disapprove of it. But when you go back and you realize the resources you have at the time, you make a decision that is right at the time for you. So could you be kind to yourself and recognize that and give yourself some love and approval? Could you give that young child? Yes, there you go.
Yeah. Yes.
Give that young child or yourself as an adult some love and approval, just because disapproving doesn't help. And notice how free you feel as you give love and approval to that earlier part of yourself. There's great freedom in it. What happens is there's a part of our energy that is held up and used to suppress these feelings, these experiences. And as we let them go, as we heal them, that energy is freed up for our own use. So Randolph, would it be okay with you if you loved every part of your past, and maybe as a group, or maybe as individual experiences over time, or patterns, if you loved every part of yourself, and all the while that process gave you more energy to live your life now, would that be okay with you?
Yes.
Yeah, of course. And I know it's obvious questions. There's no trick questions here. I'm asking them because They are obvious. And simply to say yes and give permission to that allows it to happen all the faster. So Randolph, can you look back at that decision as a precious part of your childhood, precious part of your growing up? Is that okay with you?
Yes.
Yeah. No point in saying, oh, what a terrible person I was. Wish I would have never done that. Right? Because we did. We can't change what happened, but we can change the energy around it. Does that make sense?
Yes, it sure does.
We can't change what happened. Our past is our past, and it got us where we are right now. So Randolph, any other parts of your childhood where you shut down some more with your heart and with your feeling, not wanting to feel?
I'm not sure I understand the question because my whole childhood was that way.
Good.
Was shut down.
Good. So could you look at your whole childhood right now? Shut down.
Yes.
Good. So let's go from, birth to 20 years old, let's say, okay? Birth through all your teens. And is it okay with you if you look at that as having been totally shut down during that period? Right?
Yes.
Yes. And are you okay with that? Can you be at peace with that?
Yes.
Yes. And could you give yourself and that childhood some love and approval?
Yes.
Yes. And could you go a little further and realize, for our culture, you had a really good childhood.
Yes.
Yeah, you can, right? I know.
Sure.
I know. I know you, Randolph. I know you had a really nice connection with your mother. So there had to be part of your childhood that was really great, and not everyone in this country does have that, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So could you just look with gratitude, and everyone else here on the phone, look with gratitude at your childhood, no matter how terrible it was. Some of us, it's harder to say, yes, I'm grateful for that. And if it's hard for you to say that, it's okay. Would it be okay if you were gracious with yourself right now? One of the things I learned as a minister, I was a minister preaching for 18 years, that when Mother's Day comes along, it's not safe to purely glorify mothers and say how great they all are. Because there's always a handful of people in every church who didn't have a great mother, or didn't have a mother. Okay? So everybody's different, and we want to honor that in everyone. So whatever the circumstances of your childhood, would it be okay with you if you went to peace and viewed it from the perspective of peace?
Yes.
Yes. And more peace.
Yes.
And from this place of peace, is it safe to feel and heal the difficult experiences we had as children?
Yes.
Yeah, maybe it's not our parents, maybe it's the other school children, or the other kids in the foster family, or in the orphanage, or wherever it is we grew up. Is it okay to go to peace and view it from the perspective of peace?
Yes.
So, good. Randolph, you're the barometer here. Can we move on to the next 20 years?
Beg your pardon, Stephen?
You're the barometer here. Are you pretty much at peace with your childhood?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, I am.
You mind if we go on to the next 20 to 40 years of your life, from 20 to 40?
Bring it on.
So, notice from when you're 20 all to your 20s and 30s, notice when you're shut down. Notice anything that came up during that period. And not every memory is going to come up, of course, just ones that have an emotional charge. And could you look at those, and I'm inviting everyone else to do this also in your own life, could you look at those experiences from the perspective of peace?
Yes.
Yes. And would it be okay with you if everything that happened during that period, the good and the bad, that you're quite capable of putting it into this bank of precious memories that we have, each one of us?
Yes.
Yes. You know, and everyone go there, the jobs we lost, the loves we lost, people in our families and friends may have passed on during that period. For many of us, there was a Vietnam War in their 20s going on. All these things, how do we want to view them? From what perspective? From the perspective of our ego and our mind, where we see and feel loss and pain, or from the eyes of our heart, where we are in peace? This is sort of continuum from mind to heart, and we can choose where we exist from. It's just a reference point. The invitation here is to begin looking at our past through the eyes of our heart and letting go of all the judgments that our mind and ego put on our past. How are you with your 20s and 30s, Randolph? You pretty much at peace?
Yes, I am.
Good.
There were some big things in there to let go.
Good. So let's go to our 40s to our 60s. We're doing 20-year gaps here, blocks here. So, just for a moment, let's all go back into our minds, into our egos, and what did happen between in our 40s and our 50s that we don't like? I had a business that was raided by the FBI and shut down. I didn't like that. And yet, it's turned out to be a fabulous experience. So what happened in your lives? 40 to 60, if you had kids, you know, how'd the kids do? Kids do things to shock you? That's their job, right? All right? How about your health? That start to act out? How about your marriage? That start to fall apart? Get stronger. Just sort of go through from the eyes of your mind, what didn't you like, and then let's shift into our hearts. And from our hearts, and we see the perfection of it. Absolutely perfect. Just what we needed for our personal growth. Randolph, how are you doing?
I can only say yes at this point. I'm on a roll.
Good. Good. Can you love your 40s and your 50s?
Yeah, I definitely can.
Yeah, fantastic. Good. All right, let's move on. 60 plus if you're that old.
I won't answer that.
All right, so if you're not 60 or over, stay with some other part of your past and keep loving that. But if you're in your 60s or 70s, 80s, however old we are, can you look at your 60s and 70s? Again, it helps to go back to the mind. What happened in your 60s and your 70s that you didn't like, that if you could go back, you'd go back and change it? There's a fun movie called Beyond Time, where the men in the family can go back in time. My wife and I just watched it. It's on Netflix. You can watch it for free if you've got Netflix. And I said to her afterwards, honey, if I could go back in time, I'd go back and all those years in our early years of our marriage where I said you shouldn't feel that way, I'd change that. Honey, you shouldn't feel that way. Good. So, looking at it, what would we go back and change if we could change? And then, once we've identified it, see how we feel about it. And then shift into our hearts. And Randolph, can you notice the difference when you shift from your mind into your heart?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, everybody check to see if you can do that. When we shift from our mind into our hearts, what happens inside of you that says, aha, that's happened? And if nothing shows up yet, don't worry, keep playing with it. It'll show up. So, whatever's there, could we let go of disapproving of it? Whatever we didn't like, could we give it love and approval? Could we see it from the perspective of peace and be at peace with our past?
Yes.
Yes, you're good with that, Randolph. Good. So let's do one more thing here. Let's take up our concept of the past. It's just our story. You know, all these things happen, and we make a story out of it. So whatever that feels like or looks like to you, can you make up a picture or a feeling of your past? And then, whoosh, just let it dissolve. And allow ourselves to be who we are right now, fully present to the current moment. Is that okay with you, Randolph?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So could we sit in our hearts, look back at the past, look off to the future, and let them both dissolve, and know that we know that we know the current moment is the only thing that exists. The rest is just a story. A great story or a bad story, it's just a story. And our job is to live in our hearts in the moment. You okay with that, Randolph?
I am, Stephen, yes. And thank you.
All right. I think we're good here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for stepping up. See, this is what happens when people step up and get on the phone or sit in the seat up here. So I'm really grateful for you. Really grateful for everyone that does that. Because all this stuff comes out for us. All right, I'm going to call that a morning. Tomorrow the topic's going to be obesity in America. And the theme, the subtext is we eat so we don't feel. It's numbness again. We eat so we don't feel. So I don't think any of you all have ever done that. All right, Randolph, thanks very much. Thank you all. Oh, I'm going to unmute everyone. So... All right. Everybody.
Thank you.
Everybody who's fat has to come tomorrow.
I'll be there.
I'll be here.
Thank you, Stephen. That was wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks so much,
Thank
you guys.
you.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you.